Good evening, everyone. I am our Chat Daddy Sims. Welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show, coming to you live from the Green Room. Yay, the Green Room. It is supposed to be my Friday, but it is not my Friday. Don't forget, tomorrow evening, we have a very special show, a special Friday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I'll tell you guys all about that in just a little bit. I'm super excited about tonight's show. Tonight's show is all about spirituality and COVID-19. For many of us who are Christians, now more than ever, we're starting to question, my God, what is going on? So much death. Sickness and destruction has happened within our land, and this is a global pandemic. And so here to help us tonight to understand what is going on from a spiritual level with this global pandemic, as well as what is going on even in our sex lives. We're going to talk about what happens when you are spiritual. What was the other things I said? Spiritual, saved, and want to get out there and get you some. That's kind of like I don't know, that's a conundrum or something, ain't it? It is. I think it is. I don't know. So to help us out tonight, and our co-host, you see she's laughing already, is my dear friend of just many, many years. I knew her way before she was Dr. Tony Bond, but she is really just a famed educator, activist, theologian, a women's rights leader, and I'm honored to have her here with us tonight, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our co-host, Dr. Tony Bond.
Hey, thank you, Art. It's a pleasure to be here. Fond memories of Chicago and hanging out with you.
Oh, I love you. And here's the funniest thing. Like I said, I just know Tony. But now here you are, this esteemed doctor. You have just done so many things. Tony, give everybody as we say on this show, the short version of who you are. And then let's get this show started.
Okay. I am Dr. Tony Bond. I am a womanist ethicist, which means I am very interested in not what we should do, but what we ought to do. I'm very interested in what's right and what the good is. I am a reproductive justice activist. I've worked in the women's movement, oh my goodness, for well over 30 years. Let's just say that because I don't want to date myself or age myself. And I am one of the founding mothers, one of the 12 Black women who coined the term reproductive justice and laid the foundation for the movement. And I am a native Chicagoan and currently living in, as we call it, lost wages, in this very hot climate today. It's about 110 degrees here.
Oh my God, today?
Today, my car, I went to make groceries. My car said it was 118 degrees. Now, I don't think it was 118. I think it's just because my car had been sitting and it was hot. But it's probably about 106, 107 out.
Wow. You know, Tony, we were just talking yesterday on the show that here in Chicago, we're experiencing what we consider July weather. Like it's very hot and humid. It's storming quite a bit here.
What do you all call it hot?
Well, come on now, you know, in Chicago, high 80s, 90s, you know, it's hot here. So to hear you say it is 100-some degrees and we've not even reached June yet, that's absolutely incredible just to hear those temperatures. And again, not even in June yet.
80 degrees here would be like a winter blast.
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me.
It is hot. The only thing you can do is be in your house and with the air jacked all the way up. That's it.
Oh my goodness. Well, tonight you and I are going to talk about quite a few wonderful things. We'll probably laugh, cry. We'll probably disagree to agree, then disagree to not agree. Whatever it is, we are going to have a really hearty conversation because never in a million years, Dr. Tony, did we ever think that we would experience what we are currently going through. We're now on day number 74 of our shutter in place. You and I were just talking prior to the beginning of this broadcast tonight. You know, I was talking about, oh, your hair looks so cute. You was like, well, you know, honey, I've been cutting it myself. I ain't been able to get out. You know, you've been sheltering in place. I have too. but I
Yes.
broke down yesterday and I had to get groomed up because I really do have some really important interviews. Not that you weren't important, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? I got some huge things coming up in the next week or so, and I could not take the Wolfman look anymore. But what has the vibe of Vegas been like with all of this?
Well, Vegas actually has, low by comparison. So we are right at 7,600 cases and roughly 390 something, 92 deaths. So
Really?
right. So we're in comparison. I mean, if you want to call that low, one death is too many. One sickness is too many. But
Right.
the strip has been shut down since March. It looks like a ghost town. But I understand that they are going to actually open the casinos on June 4th.
Really?
They're opening the health clubs tomorrow. I think some of the pools are going to open. The clubs, the nightclubs, the adult entertainment centers will not be open just yet.
Uh-huh.
But the restaurants are open for 50% occupancy. Some of the stores are open. The Macy's is open. So Las Vegas is starting to open up. Nevada's starting to open up.
So now, because we all just love Las Vegas, it's one of my favorite places. A
Mhm.
lot of people don't realize, and you and I talk about this all the time. There's the Strip of Vegas, there's
Yes.
downtown Vegas, and then there's beautiful communities and suburbs that are
Yes.
tran- tranquil. I couldn't say that at first. Tranquil,
Tranquil.
wonderful, tranquil, wonderful families, things like that. And so, do you ever think that the hubbub of the strip will ever come back to the level of what it was?
I think it will. I think it will take some time. I mean, listen, I was when I went out to make groceries earlier today, I saw people with no mask on. Some people were not social distancing, but then you did see people with masks on. And so I think it will come back. I think it may take a little time. I do understand that they are planning to offer deep discounts on hotels.
Yes,
they
yes,
they were charging for parking, and so I've heard that they may even go back to no charge for parking. There's even some discussion of removing the resort fees for the hotels, for some of the hotels. Yes, yes.
right,
So
right.
they really want to bring business back to Las Vegas. Now people will have to determine whether or not they want to take that risk to have some fun. But from what I'm understanding, the casinos are saying that they are going to put into place some precautions. So, for instance, when you go to the casino, you know how you have that whole rows of slot machines. They're saying
Right.
they're going to shut down, or they're going to cut off the middle slot machine and
Okay.
remove the chair. So you'll just have the machines on either end, and there'll only be three chairs at the card tables. All the staff will wear masks and protective gear. The guests are not required to wear masks, though they will give them to guests for free. Right, to guests for free. They're going to take everyone's temperature, the thermal temperature. So I mean, you go at your own risk. I've even heard some talk about they may try and figure out how they can bring the buffets back. Now, again, right, at your own
So
risk. And so
you and I both talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and
yes,
we both have a buffet in Vegas that we just love and adore. It involves tons of seafood.
yes, it
Actually, I
does.
have two buffets in Vegas that I love because I'm not a big buffet person, but I just could not imagine me wanting to now be at a buffet with a bunch of people. And here's the deal: I hate the people that reach and they sleeve, and people that don't want to grab the spoon and the
Right.
tongue. And I mean, now I'm more paranoid. I was a germaphobe to begin with, but now my level of just phobias is over the top now. So I
Well,
wonder, huh?
what they've said about the buffet, and thinking about this, I call it a social experiment, really. But what they've said is that if they went back to a buffet style, it could possibly entail having like butlers, having people serve you. So you wouldn't be able to go and get your own food, but still, how do you control that crowd? I mean, we get tons of people in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a 365, day a year entertainment center, and it's
Mm.
always crowded. So how do you control that crowd? And similarly, how do you put into place crowd control in the casino on the floor? When you hit the jackpot, when you win some money, you have to high five somebody,
Right,
right?
right,
So
right.
so how are you going to control that? I mean, what, you win and you kind of just look around like, yeah, I won. I mean, that's no
Right.
fun, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And also people have been asking, well, what about the smokers? So if people are going to wear masks, how are you going to smoke, right? So I've seen some masks where people have cut the hole out of.
I have to. I have to.
So I guess you're either gonna cut a hole out of the mask, or you're gonna, pull your mask down or lift your mask up so you can smoke. And still, I mean, given that the virus is a respiratory illness
hmm
and
hmm
it's transmitted through the spray from, that comes out of your mouth, right?
Right.
And so if you're smoking, then there has to be some droplets that exit your mouth. I mean, because when you're, they've said even when you're running, exercising outside, and you know how you huff and you're breathing real hard, that there's the possibility of droplets being sprayed even doing that. So I would imagine that the same would apply if you're smoking. So I mean, there are so many variables, right, that they can't possibly control for. So I understand that Caesar's Palace wants to be the first casino to open.
Oh, I would imagine.
And the CEO of Caesar's gave an interview, and he was going through all of the precautions that they were going to take. And he said, and so the reporter said, well, what happens how do you control if people want to crowd around a machine or a table if someone's winning? And he says, well, listen, we're going to do everything we can to protect the staff and our guests. I mean, the reality is that this is a highly contagious virus, and we
hmm
will do all we can to protect people. And I said, whoa, I hope people are listening. He
Right.
just said, this is a highly contagious virus.
That's
So
right.
why are you opening the casino?
hmm hmm
Right?
Well, we've seen where casinos across the country have opened up. There were lines of people. People were standing in line just like they
Mhm.
would be to go to the supermarket. People, when humans have vices, and you should know
Yes.
this, Dr. Tony, more than anything. When their devices, are not fed,
Mhm.
and when they need to be able to satisfy their craving, whether it's alcohol, smoking, gambling, sex, whatever the case may be. People want to, be able to enjoy what it is that they do. Because I couldn't imagine now smoking in a casino. You have to wear the mask. They're not going to be passing out the free drinks anymore. I
Well,
would
no,
imagine.
actually, I think that I have not heard that they're going to discontinue the free drinks.
Okay, okay,
I mean, that would make it completely not worth it, right? I mean,
right,
that's the whole draw to Las Vegas. The liquor is free.
right.
Well,
That is true.
the liquor is free relatively, right? If
Uh-huh.
you go to the casino and you blow $100, your drink was not free. You paid $100 for your drink.
Right, which is true. That's why I always
Right.
tell a girl, bring me 3 or 4 at the same time. Right. That's why I always be like,
Well,
look,
well, here's the other thing people
right.
have to consider. Las Vegas has been closed down for months now.
That's right.
So, what is the payout going to be? We don't know.
That is true.
Will you hit that jackpot? Who knows?
Right. Right. And then I'm wondering, just will they put all the machines back in service with this whole distancing thing? And you said the space between,
Right.
the machines and tables and things like that. So it makes you wonder, if they had 5,000 slot machines, will they now go down to 200? And then did they have to remove them off the floor, or do they put like tape over them? Or, I'm just wondering what they would do.
Well, so what I've heard is that they're not going to remove them. Some of so and this isn't, of course, all of the casinos, but the casinos who have because each casino had to submit a plan for reopening. Now,
Mm-hmm.
not all of the casinos have made their plan public. So some casinos have said they're just going to shut down the middle slot machine, for instance, and remove the chair. So you can't play it. It's inoperable. So they're not getting rid of the machine.
Okay.
Right. I guess with the hope that maybe when we get out from under this, they can, kind of go back to the normal amount of slot machines that were in usage before the pandemic. But I think it's going to be quite a while before we go back to and any sense of normalcy. I mean, this is our new reality. I don't want to say normal because there's nothing normal about this. This is our
No,
new
not at all.
reality.
Not at all. It really is nothing normal. Well, let me give the update of the Illinois COVID-19 numbers. Illinois health officials announced 1,527 new COVID-19 cases, and we had an additional 104 deaths on Thursday. The new total now is 115,833 COVID-19 cases, and our death total is at 5,186 deaths statewide. Within the past 24 hours, the state of Illinois has conducted 25,993 coronavirus tests for a grand total of 829,966. The statewide 7-day rolling positive rate for May 17th through May 23rd was 8.3%, down from the high of 23% in late April. So that's not bad. The numbers are waning off here. I'd like to see our death rate lower much more. Beginning of the week, Dr. Tony, it had gotten down in the 60s, and now we're back up in the hundreds. But, I don't know, because again, like I said, this is day number 74 of us being in this shelter in place. And we're still looking at some things. That's amazing how Vegas numbers are so low. I'm wondering, why is that? And look, and that's considered Sin City of all places, right?
Well, I think, early on, the governor here did the order for the stay in place early on, and for the most part, people really did shelter in place.
Mm-hmm.
People were not going out. We had the restrictions on the grocery stores in terms of how many people could go in. The restaurants were completely shut down. All you could do was do curb service, and some restaurants are still offering curb service.
Mm-hmm.
And so people really did take it seriously. And also remember, we did not have the tourism.
Right.
So that possibly helped with the cut down of the spread. And in terms of testing, being able to go get tests, being able to have, enough tests so that people could get tested, right, is a recent, occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you recall, people couldn't get tested.
Well, if I understand correctly, number 45, our current president, said that the heat was going to kill the virus anyway.
Well, he said a lot of things. He said that it was going to go away too. Right. And he said,
Tony, if it's 108 degrees out there, that's what then got a lot of folks. They didn't have heat stroke compared to Corona. So I don't wish no ill will on nobody, but it's heat stroke, not Corona. So, I don't know. Yeah, he said a lot of things. Just, I don't know.
He said a lot of things. He said when he first got elected, after his first 100 days, I gave him the nickname of Tad, the Trumpian authoritarian apocalyptic dictatorship, because that's what I thought his presidency was going to be. And he has certainly proved that to be true.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, he really is trying to lead this like an authoritarian regime.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to exercise powers that he doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And also like a dictatorship. if you think about it, he's surrounded by medical experts that he doesn't listen to.
No.
Right. He withdrew financial support to the World Health Organization. Who does that? Um, and nothing that he does makes sense. And it's really apocalyptic because look at where we are now.
Right.
Could you ever have imagined in your wildest imagination that we would be at a time where the US has 101,000 plus deaths because of a virus, because of a pandemic that could have been not completely stopped, but if he had have just acted sooner, because he
Mm-hmm.
had the information. Not only did he
Right.
have the information about the pandemic, but he also had the plan from previous administrations on how to deal with it. He tossed the plan out because it came from the Obama administration and this deep-seated hatred he has of President Obama, and completely ignored all of the scientific data about this virus coming. And so now here is where we are in a pandemic with from a virus that Black and brown people are dying from disproportionately.
That's right. And Black and brown people are the ones who make this country move. We're the, frontline workers. We're the minimum wage workers. We're the people who are trying to make a difference in this country. And unfortunately, we are the ones suffering the most from this global pandemic. And really, I think, Dr. Tony, it has caused so much more racial tension, tension that, we knew was there, but now more than ever, we're seeing so much racial hatred and tension, as we've seen in Minneapolis with George Floyd, the untimely death of that young man at the hands of a murderous cop and his cohorts. And, so for the past 2 nights, there's been looting and rioting and things like that in the city of Minneapolis. What do you think of that entire situation, Dr. Tony?
So I think what we're seeing is trauma piled on top of trauma. So it's George Floyd, it's Ahmaud Arbery, it's Breonna Taylor, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the other deaths of the previous years. I mean, it's if you think about it, it feels just like we're right back at Ferguson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're already in the midst of this pandemic that has taken the lives disproportionately of Black and brown people. And it's a lot just to sit with watching the numbers of people who are testing positive around the country and then watching the numbers of deaths. That, on top of the fact that many people who have lost their loved ones have not been able to engage in the normal ritual that
Right.
they would have, the funeral service, the repast, the gatherings
Yep.
where you come and celebrate the life of your loved one, the ritual that is a part of the transition, the burial, and to be able to come together and provide comfort and solace with people. So I think what you are seeing is not just people's anger, but people's trauma, people's pain, people's anguish. And it is, in fact, somewhat a form of lamenting. People are lamenting about the pain that they are experiencing from, again, the pandemic, from the disrespect of the lives of Black bodies, Black and brown bodies. And so I think you are seeing people who are deeply traumatized. I mean, that's just the reality
Mm-hmm.
that Black people are tired. We're tired. We're
Mm-hmm.
tired of seeing the lives of our Black men and our Black women being taken at the hands of overzealous law enforcement,
Mm-hmm.
and not seeing law enforcement being held accountable. Because
Right.
time and again, we get our hopes up and we hope that just this time we
Mm-hmm.
will see justice served. And almost each and every time we see justice fail us. And so the message that's delivered is that there is no justice for Black and brown bodies. There is
Mm-hmm.
no justice for our communities, and that we are expendable. And so we see that with the coronavirus. We see that with the murders of Floyd and Taylor and Aubrey and all of the, Philando Castile and Trayvon Martin and Eric Gardner. That's what we see. The Sandra Barnes. Those are that's what we're seeing. And so you see people reacting to that.
Well, but Dr. Tony, I do as I always say, I have to play the other side of this coin. We've been fighting to be heard since the civil rights movement. We've been, picketing, marching. Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, are just so many great people who become before you and I, and still we are faced with an injustice that is just absolutely deplorable in 2020. When will the dynamics change for us as a race of people? Now we say Black and brown. Let's just work on the Black getting right. You get what I'm saying? So do you ever think that it'll ever help start for us?
Well, I want to gently push back on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we have to just, let's start with getting the Black right first. Because when we think about, for instance, the whole immigration dilemma,
Mm-hmm.
people generally think about just people from the Latinx community who are immigrants here, but we have Black people who have immigrated here too, from
Mm-hmm.
the continent.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about immigration, it's everybody who are immigrants here, who are undocumented, who face deportation, who are not given the full rights of citizenship here in this country. And so, but if we were to just, I hear you, if we just, talk about what is going on within the Black community. I mean, I think we have to realize that we live in a country that was built on white supremacy and capitalism. And Black bodies were used to build this country. And not just this country, but all other parts of the world. I mean, Black people are certainly hated and despised in the US, but the reality is that Black people are treated bad the world over. That's the
Mm-hmm.
reality.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when things like this happen, of course, people, want to get out and march and rally. A girlfriend of mine always says, it's a time. It is, it's a time. But the question is, what are we prepared to do? So I said this country is ruled by white supremacy and capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
Collectively, the Black community has a lot of money filtering throughout this economy.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Our spending power is incredible, and it's a force to be reckoned with. But a
Mhm.
lot of people just don't take the time to reckon with our force. But go right ahead, doctor.
And so I don't know if you've seen this image that's been going around on Instagram. It's the picture of the police officer with his knee on the neck of George Floyd,
Yes.
next to Colin Kaepernick kneeling. And the
Mm-hmm.
irony of the picture, the message that it delivers, that Kaepernick is kneeling for justice, kneeling, making a statement against the abuse
Mm-hmm.
and the harm done and the vile, despicable acts against Black bodies. The
Mm-hmm.
image of the policeman with his knee on the neck of Floyd, right? With his hands in his pockets, as if this is a moment of celebration, like he has, caught the prize, caught
Right.
and killed, caught and killed the prize. And
Right.
so my question has always been, what would the picture look like if collectively Black folks said, we're not going to support this economy. And I'm not just talking about buying Black. I've heard, I think someone said that Charles Barkley said that there would be a part of an NBA season. What would happen if all the NBA players said, we're not going to play? What would
Right.
happen if the Black football players said, we're not going to play?
Right.
Because we know this country loves their sports. They love their football. They
Right.
love their basketball. But what if all of the athletes said, we're not going to play? We're not going to play until justice is realized for Black people in this country. And I have to keep saying Black and brown people in this country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What would happen if the entertainers, the musicians and the singers and the actors and all of the Black actors and entertainers said, not going to perform anymore?
Yeah, but here's the deal, Dr. Tony. That's a far-fetched dream or idea. I get it, because I agree with you 100% on that. But you've also got to realize we are in the midst of a global pandemic. You've got to realize a lot of people have lost their incomes. We've seen these stories time and time again of brutality, of abuse, of murder, things like that. But it really makes me wonder, when will we as a race of people decide to wake up?
Well, a couple of things. What we know, right, is that, and what the pandemic showed us, it can happen. We have no sports. There are no concerts.
Right.
Hollywood has been shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, it can happen. It can happen. What I'm saying is, what would the picture look like if Black people made an intentional decision not to support the economy of this country? Here's the other thing: it'll shut down. But it's already shut down. Is my point. Okay. It's already been shut down. Here's the other thing. What we've also seen is who really keeps this country going. It's not the 1% elite. It's the essential workers. It's the people who are the doctors and the physician's assistants and the nurses who are on the frontline workers who are in the hospitals trying to keep everybody alive. It's the people who work in the grocery stores, making sure that there are items stocked on the shelves for all of us to go buy, including the 1% elite. Mm-hmm. It's the folks who are working in the meat factories so that we can have meat on the shelves, working in the farms, the migrant workers working on the farm so that we can have fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. So what this pandemic has shown us is that they are, in fact, the ones who have kept this country going in the midst of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. What would the picture have looked like if they all had just thrown their hands up and said, you know what, forget it, we're not going to work? Mm-hmm. Nobody would eat. Nobody would be in the hospitals. And so what I'm saying is, we know it can happen. Also, we know that in terms of money, there's enough wealth in this country where nobody should be homeless. Nobody should be hungry. We should not have food insecurity. Everybody should have housing and everybody should have health care. And we know that to be true because they've managed to find money in the federal budget to give everybody $1,200, which at the end of the day is nothing, but still, they found the money.
And everybody ain't got their check yet.
But I know, but I'm saying they still found the money. They found the money for that. They're finding the money for the bailouts for corporate America. So the money exists between the governmental money and the private money. The money exists. There's enough money in this country where nobody should be hungry, homeless, and without health care. Mm-hmm. But the question is, what are people willing to sacrifice for freedom? Because freedom ain't free.
No, not at all.
And so what are people willing to sacrifice? in order to do that. And I get it that when we say sacrifice, we mean that everybody ends up having to sacrifice. And usually when we say sacrifice, it's the people who have the least who sacrifice. But I'm saying, what happens if we flip the script and we say the people with the most
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice? So the
Mm-hmm.
people with the least can live and survive and thrive.
Mm-hmm.
We have some decisions to make and they're tough, but we know now because of the pandemic, they can be made because everybody been at home.
Everybody been at home. Okay.
Everybody been at home.
All right, all right. Well, Dr. Tony, quench your thirst, darling. Sip on your beverage, baby. You laying it out. People are loving this. People, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Our very special guest co-host tonight is Dr. Tony M. Bond. She's based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. A dear friend of mine. I've been knowing her forever. She's originally from Chicago, and Dr. Tony has just done some amazing things in just women's rights. She's a theologian, just a great educator, author, just so many things. And so tonight she's the co-host of the show, but she's also our guest throughout the evening. In just a little bit, we're going to have a conversation about where is God in all of this. If you are a Christian and a faith-based person, you believe in the power of the Lord or whoever your faith leader or belief you are into. But for a lot of us, all of this sickness and destruction and things like that have been going on, it makes us ponder, really, is God in control of this, or could this be a punishment from God for all the immoral things, that we've been kind of going through? And so we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Want to remind you guys that there's a very special show tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. I'll be back tomorrow night for a wonderful, wonderful evening with some amazing guests. So make sure you put it on your calendar. I'll tell you guys all about who our special guests will be tomorrow night, but we're going to have a really nice time on a Friday evening. All right, Dr. Tony, glad to have you here. Are you enjoying yourself so far?
I am. I'm having a great time.
You are doing
always a good time with you, Art.
Thank you, darling. Everybody is loving you to no end and just laughing and agreeing. And they talking about, go ahead, Dr. Tony, preach. Right. They got you here. Well, Dr. Tony, I want to lighten it up just a little bit before we go into our subject about God. Today is National Hamburger Day. And so okay. if I had to get up and go in my kitchen right now and make you a burger, Dr. Tony, what type of burger would it be? And what am I putting on your burger for you?
Okay, so you would be making me a bison burger.
A bison burger.
A bison burger.
I ain't heard some of you ask for a bison burger.
You would be making me a bison burger.
You bougie. You bougie. Bison burger. Yeah.
A bison burger.
How would I what would you like it, medium rare? How would you like this?
I would like it medium. I'd like it a little pink.
Mm-hmm.
On a brioche bun.
Oh, of course, darling. Of course.
With a little spicy mustard, just a tad, just a touch of mayo, some Swiss cheese, and some romaine lettuce.
Okay.
Pickle on the side, and some barbecue sauce on the side.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds.
I know. I just got hungry.
I know. That sounds really good.
I know, right?
Because I tell people, I remember back, being a kid, and your mama would make them hamburgers at home, and what Eddie Murphy said, it would have
those house burgers,
peppers, and all that kind of stuff.
And the bread turns pink on white bread. The bread turns pink.
Yes, all of that. What's so funny is that we've oftentimes reminisced about. McDonald's was a treat for us when we were children.
I know. Right. That was really a treat.
It was a treat. Your mama made hamburgers at home. You didn't go out and eat no hamburger in the streets. That was something you ate at home. And McDonald's was for your birthday or graduation or, any of those type of things. But you didn't eat a burger in the streets like that. Do you remember the first place you ever went and had a burger meal other than a fast food place when you were here in Chicago? And I'm going to jar your memory about a place we used to hang out at.
The first place, because I've eaten a lot of good food in Chicago. That's what I miss about Chicago, the food. Let's see. First place. Um, oh, okay. When I was a, when I was a little girl
Mm-hmm.
in Roseland, Walgreens used to, I even hate to tell this story. Walgreens used to have a counter where
Yep.
you could go and get burgers and sandwiches. They made the best shakes and sundaes. That was the first place I had a burger outside of a fast food restaurant.
Do you remember when Woolworth used to serve food as
I
well
do.
too?
I do.
Woolworth
And Gately's.
Gately, Gately
Gately's
used to
used to
have
serve
food.
food too.
They did. They used to have food. That
Mhm.
is so interesting that you would say that. I'm trying to remember. I think someplace that would probably jar your memory and you'd laugh. Remember, Chances Are that was in Hyde Park,
I sure
and you
do.
used to throw the peanut shells on the floor when
I
you were
do.
eating there, and
I
all of.
do.
I think that was probably the first place I ever had my official like
Your
shown up
official burger.
grown burger outside the house. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
so now I want a bison burger, right?
I think you got a lot of people saying they want a bison burger. Jan Austin said a bison burger sounds yummy.
It sure does. There's something about bison meat. It's just it's leaner, but it also has kind of like a almost a sweet taste to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a different taste from ground beef, but now I'm hungry.
Well, honey, you all bougie talking about a bison burger. And look, Doc, I thought you was getting ready to tell me an impossible burger or something. I thought maybe you had turned into one of them people that it was an impossible burger now.
Well, I have some friends who are eating the impossible meat, and I've been watching some of the reports, and I the jury's still out for me on the impossible meat. I've seen some reports that have given me cause for pause. That just like, okay, I'm gonna wait on that for a little bit. And I've had some friends who, have said they've tried it, and it was like, meh, it was okay. So yeah, I mean, every now and then I might eat a black bean burger, but if I'm gonna do a hamburger, my go-to is a good bison burger.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you so much to our guest co-host from last night's show. We had Chef Takana Young here with us last night. She was amazing, funny, witty, all that great stuff. Chef Takana makes some of the best meals ever, and her tagline is "Let me feed you." She is hilarious. We also want to thank our friend Mr. Berwin Tompkins, who was here last night. He talked to us about people of color thinking about going into the cannabis business. He was here last night to talk to us about how you get your foot in the door, how you get into school, how you learn about the business. He wasn't just talking about being the dude standing on the corner selling dime bags. He was telling you how to be legitimate, how to really get into a very profitable business. And what you laughing about, Dr. Tony? You know.
Yeah, listen, I know.
Yeah, honey, they right. And this man last night dropped so much knowledge about just the cannabis industry, period, that I was so curious when I got off the phone last night that I was like, listen, I need to connect with him because he was just such an articulate young man telling us what we need to do to get a leg up in the business. And so I just thought it was great last night. I really did. So thank you to everybody who was a part of the Wednesday night show. We had a great time. Don't forget, all the encore performances of this show can be found on YouTube. All you have to do is go to The Real Chat Daddy Show on YouTube, The Real Chat Daddy Show. If you've not subscribed there, I ask that you please do so. It helps me out in many ways. The more people I get, the better it helps the show. As well as, don't forget, you can always view this show on The Real Chat Daddy Show page on Facebook, Art Chat Daddy Sims on Facebook. And if you're a friend, fan, or follower on Art Sims, the show is always there. I ask that you just please share, like the page, start a watch party. Every night, I bring some of the most amazing guests ever. These are people who I know personally, who are just really great people, who are, I consider, the most knowledgeable people ever. They would never mislead my audience or run them up with you guys. This is all about knowledge, information, and power that we share each and every night on this show. show. And don't forget, I'll be back tomorrow night for a special Friday night show, since you all didn't get me 2 days last week. And Monday I was off because of the holiday. Dr. Tony, I had internet issues. Oh, Lord, it was a
I
mess.
know. I mean, think about it. Everybody's on the internet now. Everybody's at home.
Yes, yes, yes.
We're all using the internet.
And here's what's so amazing is that a lot of people need to realize that a lot of older communities, if they've not had the fiber optics put in, if they've not upgraded a lot of things over the years, they're not going to be able to withstand this. And here's the deal: so many people are now doing what we're doing. Job interviews are via Zoom, conferences, doctor's appointments are on the web. So you've got to have the internet to be able to, get that message out there to people. All right, Dr. Tony, what do you want to say to everybody so far? Are you enjoying yourself? Anything you want to say to the people?
I am having a ball. I mean, the one thing I would say to everybody is vote. If you want to see a change in how things are handled, if you've been displeased with how this whole pandemic has been handled, vote. Make your voice heard through your vote.
Yes, absolutely, because November is going to be very interesting. And, I was talking to somebody about this entire voting season that, between Joe Biden and the man who's in there, I don't know. I'd have to go with Uncle Joe. You know what I'm saying? I would have to try to go with Uncle Joe, because the one who's in there now, I just think it's interesting in many ways that, that there's something not right. And that's what we've been saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you always need to vote with your eyes open. You need to vote fully informed.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, we have one candidate, sitting president candidate who has just made a mess of the country and a mess of people's lives, has total and utter disregard for the lives of people. And I would say not just people of color, but if his own supporters were really paying attention, he has no regard for them either.
Right.
So, because a lot of the programs they benefited from too. But again, that's that white supremacy rearing its ugly head, and they let racism cloud their judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to vote with our eyes open, and we have another candidate, Joe Biden, who hopefully will be the better of the two evils. I mean, because Joe Biden comes with his own history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Uncle Joe does. He really does.
Yeah,
so
he does.
I don't know. Well, Dr. Tony, I want to move into our topic of the evening, if we could. Here's the deal. I am a Christian. I am a firm believer that God is in the blessing business. I've been saying the entire time during this global pandemic, those that are last will now be first. I've often said that, God is doing what he does in his infinite way. But there are a lot of people that are really questioning, where is God through this global pandemic? So much destruction, so much death, so many people have lost their jobs. A lot of this mirrors what happened to us in 2008, 2009 with the economy crashing. And so for those that are faith-based, but yet maybe a little weary and wondering what is going on, what can you do to help us to understand better about God in this situation we're in?
Well, first of all, I think people put too much responsibility on God. God is not, well, let me back into it this way. What we know about this virus is that it is not a supernatural virus. We know that it is a virus that has evolved from other viruses. And we know that with that in mind, God didn't cause this virus and God didn't cause this pandemic. So this virus isn't punishment for what humans have done. It isn't punishment um, to members of the LGBTQIA communities. It's not a punishment for people making decisions about whether or not to have a child. I mean, it's not punishment. It's not judgment. I will say this: people have asked me, well, but where is God in this moment? I mean, we've got so much sickness and death, and people are suffering. And so I often say, well, what if God is suffering right here with us? What if, as we are in the midst of suffering in this pandemic, and as we are lamenting, what if God is lamenting right with us?
Mm.
Because my idea of God is not this overpowering supreme being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is controlling. We're all puppets, and God is controlling all of our actions. God gives us free will. God gave humans free will. And so humans have the ability to make moral decisions. Now, some have said, well, nature is wielding her wrath upon us. But then, if God is the creator of all things, the heaven and the earth, then, and if God is all that's good and love, then the earth is all that's good and love, and nature is all that's good and love. And so, do we really believe that this deity that we all worship and pay homage to would create something that would harm us, that would create nature and earth that would harm us? Because that it doesn't stand to reason. Because if everything that comes from God is all good.
Now, here's the deal. I believe everything that you're saying, and I agree. I believe that there is a power much higher than myself that wakes me
Mhm.
up every day. I believe there's a power much higher than myself that says, young man, do not fall, do not get weary, continue to move on. I really do, because there have been many times that I've wanted to throw my hands up and say, guess what? I'm done. I'm out of here. I've had enough. But I also believe that we live in a time now where all of this pain, destruction, and death is I go back to the movie The Color Purple. Maybe God is trying to tell us something. And I've been saying that for quite a while because, again, people have become very humble from this situation. People have become very generous in this situation. Benevolence is what God loves in all of his people. And so maybe something like this is what really was needed. I know that sounds horrible, and I don't mean it in a vicious way. I mean it in a way that we get this dialogue to the level of everyday man understands what is being said. Do you get what I'm saying, doctor?
I get what you say. I get what you're saying, but that would almost mean that God is vengeful, and that God is punishing us. I mean, one of your guests is saying, did did was God with Floyd, or the cop that murdered him?
Right, right.
And so I want to pull the lens back a little bit and offer this, that if God is omnipotent, omnipresent, all of these omnis, right? Omniscient, God is all powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then just as God, if you believe God started this, created this, then God could stop it, right? So then
Mm-hmm.
the question becomes, well, then why isn't God stopping it? Why is God letting so many innocent people die? Well, is that vengeful, judgmental God the God that you would want to pray to?
Mm. Mm.
You made the point that about humans and destruction. God gives us free will. And in that free will, God gives us a myriad of choices to choose from. And humanity makes choices to either do good or either to do that isn't good. Now,
Mm,
could it be that this virus is a result of humanity making choices that are not good,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that have been destructive to the earth and to the planet? That's not God, that's humanity. Because again, God gives us free will. Now, where we do see acts of God, I think, are just as you said, in the benevolence of people. And for me, to me, that is God at work. That is God showing people the possibilities of goodness and love and benevolence, and still giving people the free will to choose to do acts of benevolence. And so we see that in the frontline workers who have decided, yes, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to help people. We've seen it in people taking food, and groceries to seniors. We've seen it in all of, even I don't know how many of your guests are listening to Instagram and D Nice and the other DJs playing music to kind of feed people's souls as they are in quarantine. To me, though, that's God at work. And that's God at work because a human has listened to or paid attention to the gentle nudges and the suggestions from God to do
Mm-hmm.
what's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That to me is where God shows up. But
Mm-hmm.
in the death and destruction, there's no God in that. Just as I said earlier, this country, the president could have gotten a handle on this pandemic much earlier to prevent all of this death and destruction. That's on him, not on God, because he
Mm-hmm.
had all of the information at hand to get ahead of this, so that we wouldn't see all of these people, all of the people that we see now testing positive for COVID and dying from COVID. He could have done something and he chose not to. He exercised his free will, but he exercised his free will to promote death and destruction. And that's not God.
Well,
Or as they
Doc,
would say, that's not of God.
yeah, that's not of God, baby. That's not of God.
That's not of God.
I look at the fact that, you know, when I was very young, my grandmother taught me never to mix politics and religion. Just leave them separate. But I almost feel as if when we were not able to impeach our current president, and I don't say his name because I don't want to get blocked or censored or any of that, I almost feel as if this pandemic was a punishment to get him for what he's been doing wrong, and not making the best choices. But I don't know.
But a punishment by whom?
I speak from a humble, meager opinion about just seeing how things are falling apart. I'm not anybody trying to start anything, so I don't want the government to think that. But I just really do think, as a humble human being, that a lot of this is payback for you being not the best person on earth.
Well, I think if anything, what this time is, it's a moment of reflection. The quarantine has like given us almost a reset. You have no choice but to sit in the house and reset and think and meditate and be with yourself, if you will. Now, some, of course, there are some folks who are quarantining with their families, but still, it is a moment of almost resetting and rethinking a lot about yourself and your lives and what you want to create and what you want to contribute to humanity. It is actually, for all of the sickness and the death, it is too a time of creativity. And we see that in the creative ways that people have come up with, again, to support each other and to support humanity. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I hope people are kind of kind of taking advantage of this moment. Yes, the quarantining is tough, and yes, it is very difficult to watch so many people become sick and to hear about so much death, but you still see all of these acts of kindness and beauty. You also see a resetting of this country's moral compass, if you will, and kind
Yes.
of going
Yes.
back to what I said about who really lead has been keeping this country afloat. It has
Mm-hmm.
been the people who have been theoretically at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
low wage to minimum wage workers, middle income folks who have kept this country thriving. And
Right.
so my hope is that as we make our way back, we shift, we do a paradigm shift in how we've been thinking and looking at who is the most valuable in this country, and realize that they are really the folks who have been the most valuable in this country, not the 1% elite. They've been keeping
Mm-hmm.
the 1% elite alive. And
Right.
so, in terms of where we need to reset our moral compass, hopefully, part of that resetting is how rethinking how we treat the least of God's people.
Those that will last will now be first, Doc. I've been saying that Matthews, that look, that has been my mantra when I get up, when I have my coffee, when I get dressed, all of that is those that were last will now be
Yeah.
first. And it took a global pandemic for that entire thing to just shift and turn around. And you know, for a lot of my friends, they had a really hard time with losing their job, had a really hard time being at home. And I said, listen, pay attention to what benefits and things people are offering. Get busy, start applying for things, and get in line with everybody else. It would be different if you were out here suffering by yourself. I get that, been there, done that. But now we are in a situation where there are millions of people in need. And let your pride go and stand up and get what you need. And that's what I've
Well,
been saying to people.
and in this moment of solitude, be present in the silence and
Right.
listen to God speaking, because that's when God is speaking. God is
Mhm.
always speaking. But in this moment, be present in your own silence and listen to God speaking, and listen for the ideas that come up. I mean, this is the time when those ideas, when you're sitting back, you think, I should do less and so. Pay attention
Mhm.
to those ideas, because
Mhm.
that's God speaking. The other thing is, you mentioned people not having income, people losing their jobs. I mean, we talked earlier about the fact that I had to cut my own hair. Well, I didn't actually cut my own hair. I gave myself a line, and a girl did have to buy some clippers because she needed to give herself a lining, right?
You
But,
better than me, Doc, because I couldn't have done it. I'm just
well,
not one of the people. I'd have been, look, my hairline would have been sitting back here. You get what I'm saying? I'm not one of the, I've never been able to groom myself like that. And it's not being bougie or, oh, you got so much money. Look, I keep a budget called grooming budget because I just like for other people to make me look good, So I get that. No, my hairline, I kid you not, would have been behind my earlobes. It really would have
well,
been. I'd have
well,
been.
and my circle can tell you that I have, up until the last month, I was doing a close shave, right, of my hair. I was almost bald because my philosophy was, it's just air. And I travel a lot for work. And so I needed to be able to, wash and go. And because of the pandemic, of course, we all have had to I've had to give myself my own manicure, my own pedicure, give myself my own lining. But one thing a friend said to me, they said, I have started to give the money that I would have spent every month at the hair salon, at the nail salon. I've started to still pay those people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I started doing that too. Like the brother who cuts my hair, I mean, I love him. He does he sends me out of the barbershop sharp every time. And he's somebody I can call like 2 days or a day ahead of time and say, can you fit me in? And he'll
Right.
say, yeah, Miss Tony, come on, come on in this time. So I have been sending him the money I would have paid him had I been going to the shop. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, that's how I think we have to show up for each other in
Mm-hmm.
those ways. It's a small act. I mean, it's not a whole bunch, but it's something, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we have to show up for people. And that's those are the acts of God too. When
Right.
everybody starts to listen to the ways that they can show up to support their, fellow humanity, that is God at work.
Hmm. Well, Dr. Tony, before we shift gears and go into the relationship portion of tonight's show, I want to talk about something that has been a hot topic with quite a few people is the fact that churches are still closed. Some churches have opened up. They've defined their local authorities, the governors, things like that. Our president has said that churches are essential. I just kind of want to know what you think. We love to put our Sunday best on and we love to go on in church and have a good time. But honey, I don't know how quick I am to want to return back to that
Well,
pew either.
well,
You know,
as the word says, we're two or three gather in my name. It
uh-huh.
didn't say we're two or three gather in my name in a church. The
Right,
church is the building. I mean,
right,
the building, I mean, just the building, people of the church. We are the church. So wherever we gather, if we gather on internet, I mean, the church I go to has been holding virtual service. And we are still able to worship, hear music, lament. The only thing you cannot do is throw yourself across the altar.
right.
But if you have an altar at home, you can still carry your burdens to the altar. My
Yeah,
point
I
is,
ain't seen nobody throw themselves on the altar in a minute now. So
I have,
you gonna start that back up again. But what were you gonna say?
I have. I mean, but the president saying that church is an essential service that that pretends that people have not been in worship with their God, and that's not true. Now, I don't know what God he serves. Maybe he hasn't been in worship with his God. If
Mm-hmm.
he's saying, "Oh, we need to send everybody back to church," but we know that Black folks are praying people. We're praying all the time, and we're always in communication with our God. So we also know that we don't have to be in the physical building of the church to be in communication with our God. If you think about it, the the prayer lines, if you think about it, we were doing that already, praying
Right,
on the phone together, prayer circles. And
right.
so the only difference now is that we can't go to the physical building. No. And you know, we have to be cautious because we need to not only save our own lives, but our fellow human beings' lives too. We have to be collectively concerned about humanity. That again is, that's doing God's work, being exhibiting concern about each other, fellow humanity, and ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we increase our risk of transmission by gathering in church. We don't know who has COVID. You don't know. You can't look at somebody and tell that they have the COVID virus. You can't do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, I think that worshiping online works just fine. If you can't be online, you can worship via phone.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're two or three.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. And what a lot of you all need to understand, you can still give your tithes and offerings to the church. These churches have modernized. They've been,
I
they
sure
have,
have.
well, honey, you can text, you can cash app, you can do whatever. And
Mhm.
another thing that I want to tell people that I believe that this pandemic now more than ever is a time of shift for people to change their old thoughts and ways about things. You know what I'm saying? Again, one would never thought that you could start a TV show or a radio show or whatever with an Ethernet cord and a computer and just do it. Same way with church. Church is going to have to step outside the building, as you would say, and have an outreach that is much larger on this digital divide that we're on?
Well, every Sunday when I go to my church's virtual service, when they get to the part where they say, now it's time to give your tithes and offering, I pull out my iPhone and I
Mm-hmm.
give I give my offering, via iPhone. But I think we can't. I mean, the reality is that the attendance at many of our churches has been dwindling for years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have to figure out how to be more creative. And maybe this is the time again for us to figure out how we are more creative in how we worship and how we hold church service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I really think it says a lot about where we are currently right now. All right. Well, Dr. Tony, I appreciate that part of it. We're going to shift gears just a little bit so we can continue to move this show forward. Are you okay? You're doing a great job.
I'm great. I'm great.
Oh,
I'm having
good.
fun.
Some of your fondest memories of Chicago. What's some of your, you remember Fun Town?
You know what? My mother would never let me go to Funtown.
You lying. Oh,
No, she would not. But I could go to
huh?
Adventureland.
Wait a
She took me
minute.
to Adventureland, but she never let me go to Funtown.
Really?
No.
We almost need to snatch your black card. You know what I'm saying? Right. You ain't
I
never been
went
to
to Adventureland in
honey.
old Chicago.
Well, Adventureland for a lot of us, that was bougie. In old Chicago, I used to love old Chicago. Very few people remember old Chicago amusement park,
Yeah.
but you never got to go to Fun Town?
She would not let me go to Funtown.
Oh my God. Like, oh,
I never went to Funtown.
look, we need to recreate Fun Town just for you. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I really miss from Chicago? I miss the food. I have been to, all over this country and traveled, internationally. There is no food like Chicago's food. And these days I have been missing fried jumbo shrimp. I cannot find fried jumbo shrimp here. So their concept of fried jumbo shrimp is a medium shrimp cut down the middle and fanned. They think that's a jumbo shrimp. I cannot
Oh,
find a deep fried jumbo shrimp.
oh
No
boy.
tail jumbo shrimp.
Who knew? And we're talking about Las Vegas, where you can find everything.
No, I can't find it. It's nowhere to be found.
Okay, so you guys are gonna have to send Dr. Tony some jumbo shrimp, or when I go out to visit Dr. Tony, I'll make sure I have some in my bag. Any particular place you love the jumbo shrimp from here in Chicago? Look, maybe we can get them to be a sponsor of my trip to Vegas to bring you some shrimp.
I used to go to the Colas all the time, but Trojas shrimp.
I've
Mhm.
never. Where's Trojas shrimp?
That is west, like on is it Cermak? I'm not sure of the
Oh,
exact, but it's
really?
Trojas.
Uh,
Mhm.
oh, and they're really good.
An old flame took me there, and I have been going there ever since. Mhm. The
Got rid of
best
the old flame
jumbo,
and got the shrimp joint.
the best fried no tail jumbo shrimp that you ever want to taste. The only place that I've had shrimp that compares is in Atlanta at a place called Louisiana's Seafood. Oh my, next door to Big Daddy's. Oh my
Oh,
God, the shrimp is so good.
really?
Yes. So
Okay.
I am missing shrimp and rainbow cone.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. I need to have my rainbow cone. I've not had one of those in a while. You're right. Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, and now that we're all hungry, I need to
Yes.
remind everyone. I know, take a break, Dr. Tony. Look, you're nibbling on your fingernails in a minute. I want to remind everyone that there will be a special Friday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show tomorrow night from 7 to 8:30 p.m. I ask that you please join me for a wonderful evening entitled Be Counted for Unity community, for the love of people. Tomorrow night is a virtual love fest, an evening of upliftment in the name of love. Tomorrow night, my very special guest will be Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. We'll also welcome some of the west side of Chicago's top business leaders who have been doing wonderful things on the west side to help the people of the community. And these leaders are just not new people to the community. They've been around for a while, and I'm excited to talk to them about love, acceptance. How do you keep a community together during a global pandemic? So it should be really a fun show tomorrow night. I am honored to welcome the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Illinois to my humble little digital show, and I look forward to talking to her. She's a wonderful person, and I really want to introduce her to my audience, and I want you guys to really get to know who she is. But she is a wonderful person. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton will be here tomorrow night, as well as a couple of wonderful business leaders from the west side of Chicago, talking about progression and just unity and how we keep people moving forward. And then on Saturday night, I'll be joining my friend, actress and comedian Erica Watson for her late night show, y'all. I think I'm on at 9:45 p.m. on Saturday night. It's a happy hour show. It's called A Nightcap with Erica. And on Saturday evening, I'll be talking about how sex sells. Sex is big money. And so we'll be talking about not selling yourself short for being in a relationship and being with people and things like that. And it should be really interesting. I'm one of the many experts who'll be talking about not selling yourself short in a relationship. Or if you do have to sell a little bit, make sure you're getting your money's worth of what you're doing. Because really, Dr. Tony, we're going to talk about that. Prostitution is the oldest profession in the book, isn't it?
Sure is.
My. Okay. All right. And then on Monday, for all of you all that are on Instagram, please join me Monday for the inaugural premiere show of Soul Food, What Feeds Your Soul. Every Monday through Friday from 12 to 12:30, I'll introduce you to some of the most fascinating people. We'll sit down for a one-on-one interview over a virtual lunch about what feeds your soul, what inspires you. And I have a really great lineup. My first guest is legendary radio broadcaster, community activist, and humanitarian Bonnie DeShawn. As you guys all know, she's Hey Baby Bonnie DeShawn, and she does some amazing work outside of her radio career and has been doing some amazing work for years. And so Bonnie DeShawn will be my first guest Monday from 12 to 12:30 on Instagram Live. Please make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at ChatDaddy1 on Instagram for the inaugural of Soul Food starting Monday. You know, June is National Soul Food Month, Doc. Did you know that?
I need you to stop talking about food.
I know. June is
because that's the other
Soul
thing. We
Food
can't
Month.
find good soul food.
What? In Vegas? You are kidding me.
Oh,
That's
not like Chicago soul food. I'm telling you. So Chicago has some of the best food. When I come to visit Chicago, when I come back home, I have a whole list of places that I need to go eat. I need to go to Harold's Chicken and get me some Harold. Then
Right.
I need to go get me some Italian Fiesta. And
Y'all
I
got
need to
Harold's
have.
Chicken in Vegas now, don't you?
No, we
Okay,
don't.
so there's not a Harold's out there.
There's a
Okay.
Harold's now in LA.
LA, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a Harold's in Atlanta, though they're fancy in Atlanta. They take reservations at the Harold's.
Girl, school me. Schools me.
They sell alcoholic drinks at the Harold's in Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, this is not Harold's. That's not a real Harold's. The
They
Harold's.
all that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, our last topic in discussion of the evening, our co-host is Dr. Tony M. Bond. She's based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. She's originally from Chicago. She's just an incredible woman, a noted educator, activist, theologian, just all around knowledgeable woman on all things that is who we are and what makes us function. But she really is an authoritarian on the study of women, women's sexual health and reproduction. And so, Dr. Tony, here's the question: your
Yes.
spirituality, intimacy, and COVID-19. So
Mhm.
so let me break that down to the street level.
Okay.
I'm saved and sanctified.
Mhm.
I'm horny.
Yep.
This damn COVID done came along. So now I'm sure plenty of people who watching this show is like, child, that's me. I get it. I understand. I
I,
do.
I understand. I'm newly single too, so I get it, right? And
So
so the reality is your spirituality and your sexuality, this is the perfect time to integrate the two and get to know this temple that God has given you. So it means thinking about sexuality in a new way. If you have never explored your own body sexually, this is the time to do it. Because the virus, as we said earlier, is very contagious, and it's called the novel COVID virus because it's new and people don't know. We don't know everything we need to know about it, but we know that it's highly contagious. We know it's a respiratory illness. It's spread through respiratory droplets that come out of your mouth, and so we also know it can be spread being in close contact. Now, there was some studies that came out of China, that Wuhan, China, that showed that they found the virus in men's semen. But what it did not conclusively conclude was if it could be passed via semen. So, they don't know, or the thinking is that it's not passed through semen or vaginal fluid. But we do know that it can be passed by close contact. And when you have sex with someone, when you're that intimate, have that level of intimacy, you do increase your risk of contracting the virus from someone. So you have to be very creative in what you do. I mean, the first thing is if you are single, I mean, masturbation is always a good option. The other thing is if you want to
look,
date,
look, Doc, I'm blushing. Did you say masturbation is a good
I
option?
said I said masturbation is always a good option. Nobody can
I'm
please you like you anyway.
oh,
So
look, we did celebrate National Masturbation Day on this show. We did.
see.
And look, Debbie Green said, "Don't run out of batteries."
Make sure you have plenty of batteries. Yes, make sure because for a moment there, Amazon was not delivering sex toys. They were
That's
focusing on
right.
they were only focusing on delivering essential items. I think they're now delivering vibrators and other forms of sex toys. So so that's the safest option. But if you live, if you're single and dating, the other thing to consider, you know, having sex with if you have a steady, right, there's some commitments that you all need to make. So commitments about the kind of protective precautions that you're going to take, and that's really bringing in more of a harm reduction kind of model, the same kind of harm reduction model we use with HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. You have to make some agreements. You're going to use a condom all of the time. They
Mhm.
also have found the virus in feces. So if you engage in anal sex or participate in rimming, then you can't do that. Or if you're going to have anal sex, then you got to use a condom, or you have to use a dental dam if you're going to participate in mouth to anal contact. You have to take these kinds of precautions. Kissing, I love to kiss. Not going to be able to do it. Just not going to be able to do it. But um, if you have a partner, a regular, right, then you know, and you don't live in the home together, and you have built this trusting relationship, maybe consider both going to get tested for the COVID virus and getting tested for antibodies, so you can, one, know if you have it, or and two, know if you've ever had it before, right? So that could be an option. But if you don't have anybody, or if you're dating, I mean, they've got all kind of dating apps. There's sexting. You can have sex via text. by cell phone. You can have, video sex with somebody that you know. I mean, it still doesn't give you the human contact, the hand to hand human contact, but you know it's something. If you are going to have sex with someone, again, in addition to the condoms and the dental dams, um, you know, the less face to face contact, the better. So you may want to alter your positions. Instead of missionary style, you might want to do doggy style. You might want to do a lap, the lap dance style. Um, it's another position that they call the reverse rider on top. So meaning if you're a woman and you're on top, instead of facing the person, you turn your back to their face and you're on top, sitting on top of them. So I mean, you have to,
Something like this, not
yeah, a little bit like that, like the lap dance. Yeah, a little bit like.
like this. Okay, all right. I just had to check. I just need to make sure I had that right.
I mean, the reality is, just because you can't be in the same room doesn't mean you can't have great sex. I've had great phone sex.
Yeah, but
That
honey,
means you have to use your imagination. You can FaceTime.
I guess I don't. I guess for guys, I don't know. Maybe women can kind of do that with no, But for guys, I think it's like, look, you need to feel it, touch it, taste it, all that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the reality. You haven't been able to do it in a few months. So you're just gonna abstain from all kind of sexual activity.
Do you think there'll be an uptick in sexually transmitted diseases over the summer? Because here's the deal. I'm listening to you. My audience is listening to you. But then there are a lot of people out here that don't give no damn. And I'm sure when we have this conversation Saturday night on Erica's show, it'll be about smack it, flip it, and rub it down. You know what I'm saying? So
But those would be the same people who were engaging in risky behavior prior to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reality is that we have to treat COVID like we would treat HIV or any other sexually transmitted infection. You can't look at someone and tell if they're HIV positive or have something like gonorrhea or trichomoniasis or syphilis or herpes. You can't look at somebody and tell. So you need to engage in safe sex. You need to do the same thing with the COVID virus. It's not that the COVID virus is sexually transmittable like HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. The way it's transmitted is because you have more face-to-face contact, right? And so, just like we reduce our risk, we have to reduce our risk in terms of contracting HIV and other sexually transmitted infections and using a harm reduction kind of model. We have to apply that same kind of harm reduction model to COVID. And we have to be careful. No kissing on people that you don't know, and you don't know that they're COVID free. For sure. For sure. I mean, they had the COVID test. No mouth to anal, unprotected mouth to anal sex. Use a dental dam. Lessen, lower.
Okay, for those of you all that don't know what a dental dam is, some saran wrap.
Okay, you can use saran wrap. Yes.
Plastic Ziploc bag, like a lunch bag, that you put your sandwich in.
You can use that.
Yeah, you can any of those type. What about a rubber glove?
I guess you could if you cut, maybe cut it and try and expand it, and it would be thinner probably than the Ziploc bag, because that plastic tends to be a little thick.
Where it does, it let you go to the dollar store and get the cheap ones. You know what I'm saying? If you go get the cheap ones from the dollar store, y'all will know. I'm just trying to help everybody out here. I don't know. Right. What's a dental dam? Can you explain what a dental dam is?
So a dental dam is a square piece of latex that has been cut in a square shape, and you just take it, and if I had one, I would show you, but I don't have one in hand, and you place it over the genital, or either over the anus, and that's how you provide oral pleasure to someone.
Mm-hmm. It's a wrap. It's like a condom for the other parts that you like to touch. So before we have to run, Doc, because you've been amazing tonight, I think my last question when it comes to, our sex, spirituality, we human. Everybody wants them sex. Everybody wants to be pleasured. So, you single, Doc, you meet that new boo thing out there in Vegas and he got what you need and what you want. How are you going to talk to him about, let's go get checked out, baby. Let's go, get some paperwork on each other. And I'm not talking about marriage certificate. I'm talking about, we can just have some fun with each other. So how do we go about that conversation?
The same way I hope you've been going with that conversation, the same way I've been having that conversation with people that I have dated. No, we are always going to use condoms and dental dams until we go get tested together. No, you can't go get tested and come back and give me your results. And no, I'm not going to get tested and you come and I come back. We're going to go get tested together at the same time. We're going to get our results together and then we're going to share our results so that we can know 100% for sure that, or as 100% for sure as we can know that we're both okay. And so the same thing with COVID. I mean, even with non-sexual partners, they're saying maybe think about having these friend bubbles, right, where households can make some agreements about exercising proper protective precautions, and maybe both households go get tested so that you can have some human interaction with friends, right? That if both households go get tested, maybe you can not have to wear your mask and you all agree to exercise, protective precautions. And
So
you
is
could all
this?
have dinner together and things like that sometimes at each other's house.
Oh, because I thought we were talking about a whole swingers thing. I was like, oh,
No, Art. I
I was like,
shifted. I went from
maybe you took that to a whole nother level. I was like, is we getting ready to swing? So okay, my bad.
Well, now, if you're going to swing, you want to make sure that everyone has gotten not only their test for HIV, AIDS, and other sexually transmitted infections, but also that everybody's gotten tested for COVID and gotten the antibody test. Now, if you're going to swing, I'm just saying.
So not just COVID, but the antibody test and
Well,
to
you
make
need
sure.
to, right, because if you want to, the COVID test is going to tell you whether or not you currently have COVID. The antibody test will tell you if you've had it.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, Dr. Tony, we've covered a lot this evening. It's been an
We
amazing
did.
show. Anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome to come back. You've done an outstanding job. Do me a favor, tell my audience how they can find you, follow you, continue to help support your mission and calling of what you do. And it really was an honor to have you here with us this evening.
Thank you. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Tony M. Bond. You can find me on Facebook at Dr. Tony M. Bond, and you can reach me by email at drtony at tonymbond.com, drtonymbond.com.
All right, very good. Well, Dr. Tony, you've done an outstanding job. You look amazing.
Thank you, Eric. You too.
I love you. I really do. I want you to stay out of that hot weather out there. But, I'm so excited about the warm weather. I love warm weather. So,
you don't have to tell me, but now I got to go find something to eat because you've been talking about food throughout this whole show.
I know. I'm so starved. I'm hungry. I am famished myself. And I'm like, ooh, what do I want? So I'm getting ready to go pay a visit to my a great show, Dr. Tony.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you.
She said yes. We got another right on for tonight's show as well.
Thank you, Marguerite. Thank you.
We love the audience so very much. So I want to remind everyone, please, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., a very special Friday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show, coming to you live via all of my social media platforms. The Real Chat Daddy Show show has its own Facebook page, so please go there, like the show, share it, start a watch party. You can also see this show on the Art Chat Daddy Sims page as well as the Art Sims page. We also are on YouTube. We are on YouTube, you guys. You guys just go right on over to YouTube. You guys,
Oh, thank you.
isn't that beautiful? Oh, they are enjoying the show tonight. We appreciate you guys so much. As I said before, go right on over to YouTube. There you'll be able to see encore performances of this show, as well as all the information you need to know is there. Don't forget, I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 p.m. The Lieutenant Governor of the state of Illinois, Juliana Stratton, will join us, as well as some very esteemed leaders from the west side of Chicago. We're going to show the west side of Chicago some love tomorrow. Want to remind you guys the importance of filling out your 2020 census. Dr. Tony, is there anything you want to say about the census real quick and how important that is for everybody to get their census done?
You want to be counted. Be counted. Fill out your census. It's not too late. That's how we're counted. So be sure to fill out your census. I mean, said it all. You said it best. And be sure to vote.
Yes, and be sure to vote. We'll probably have you back, Dr. Tony, way before election season, because we need you to drop some more knowledge. Everybody is loving you and saying what great show tonight. Oh, I know you will. I love you, my darling. Give everybody your website one more again, as Grandma would say.
You can reach me at drtonymbond.com.
Okay, drtonymbond.com. I just want to say to you guys, thank you so very much for being here tonight. It's been an amazing show. Dr. Tony, don't go anywhere. I'm going to bring you back up in another second. Remember, go to therealchatdaddy.com for more information about me. On behalf of Dr. Tony Bond, yay, Chicago's very own. Oh, I love this, Dr. Tony Bond. Look, book here tonight. Wait. Census, vote, and dental
band. Those are great takeaways.
Right. That's what's trending tonight. Make sure you fill out your census. Make sure you vote. And if you want to put your tongue anywhere on somebody, make sure you guys get a dental dam. That's all we gonna say. How about that?
Okay.
That's all. We all love the show. Thank you so very much. It was a great show tonight. Well, on behalf of Dr. Tony M. Bond and yours truly, Art Chat Daddy Sims, we've come to the end of yet another amazing show. I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 p.m. when we welcome the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Illinois on the show. I'll see you Saturday night on Erica Watson's show, A Nightcap with Erica Watson. I'll post all the links on all my social media pages. And then don't forget, Monday at 12 noon is the official kickoff of the first Soul Food with Chat Daddy from 12 to 12:30 on Instagram. I'm going live on Instagram. Good night, you guys. I love you so very much. God bless. I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7. I love you, Dr. Tony.
I love you too, Art.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody. TheRealChatDaddy.com. See you tomorrow night and 1.